General Hodges, thanks for being with us this morning. I've seen a number of analyst notes out this morning suggesting that we're now moving into this fast-moving phase that's beyond forecasting. Roman Schweitzer over at Cowen, for example, lays out two potential scenarios that could play out from here, that this is either a prelude to a wider invasion or potentially a way for Putin, for Russia's Putin, to do something before stepping back from the brink and engaging further in negotiations. How do you see it?
Yeah, I like that second course of action. I think it's much more feasible and much more likely. This is a continuation of what Russia started in 2014 when they first invaded Ukraine. They never left. And the aim here for the Kremlin is to collapse the Ukrainian government, and they're going to do it by collapsing the Ukrainian economy. So think of a boa constrictor that's wrapped itself around the body of Ukraine, with all of these troops, significant Russian Navy out there, which is disrupting traffic in and out of Ukrainian ports. Always the threat of a massive assault, but I don't think that's likely if the Russians can achieve what they want without actually having to launch this big attack towards Kyiv that had been forecasted, because that would be very bloody, and frankly, I don't think it would be successful.
Sanctions are what are on the table right now as the U.S. and its allies are beginning to issue some of these penalties. Heaven forbid this were to escalate, you were to see Russia begin to expand in the Ukraine right now. How would a military scenario potentially play out from here?
Well, I hope that all of our government, and by the way, I've got to say I'm impressed that Germany has pulled the certification process for Nord Stream 2. The UK has dropped a pretty big hammer on Russian banks. And then, of course, the United States sanctions that began last night. This is so important. But it's also, if you allow me, it's important that our leaders are preparing our populations, because this is going to be expensive for us. And we can be sure that Russia will retaliate with cyber strikes against all of us. So the resilience of our own populations is going to be important here. If the Kremlin feels that they cannot accomplish what they want by this slower, long, drawn-out approach, I would anticipate some amphibious operations in the Sea of Azov, for example, that would connect the occupied territories north of Mariupol down to Crimea, perhaps along the Black Sea coast. But really, I'm going to keep my eye on Belarus. I think while we're watching Ukraine, the Russians are taking the next steps to go ahead and finish establishing the Union state, whereas Belarus is actually absorbed into Russia. Putin becomes the president of all of it. He never has to worry about another election. And now we've got thousands of Russian troops next to the Suwalki corridor threatening our Baltic allies.